So I don't really have a need for this window right now, but it's a good looking window, so I figure it wouldn't hurt to have around just in case, you know, I manage to break mine someday or for whatever reason. I've heard they're kind of tricky to get out. I looked on YouTube before I came out here, typed in MR2 back window removal, didn't see a single video. So I figured, you know, I read the big green book, little procedure. It pretty much says just take this off and then pop the seal out and use the piano wire to go around it and cut the adhesive and pop it out. So it doesn't sound bad. I'm sure it is. I'm sure you have to be really careful, but I figured I'd at least try and remove it. And if I get it out successfully, then there you go. You guys got a good how-to, a video, instead of just reading through a forum for 4 hours. If I break it, you guys know what not to do on the next one. So from what I can see here, I've got 4 screws. So 2 there, 2 on this side, and then 1 on each side of the third brake light. So I'll go ahead and take those out, and then I think the big green book said just to pry out on the outer edges, and it said caution, do not damage the body. Like, you know, like people don't know that. I'm not even sure I need to take these ones out, honestly. Looks like it just screws into the piece I'm taking out anyway. I got that one. Yeah, it doesn't really look like those need to come out, but we'll see when we get to the end. That one wasn't even hardly in. And one more. Okay, so that's all 4 screws. Trying to get out of this thing. Ninja. Now, the big green book recommends putting like masking tape on your screwdriver before prying on this, but I'm sure you've noticed the paint job on this one. Don't think I'm going to hurt much. But it is actually incredibly hard to even get in there. Oh, there we go. Maybe it's because we got Bondo like crazy. Ugh. Bondo flying everywhere. I'm going to put on some safety glasses before I end up with a chunk of that in my eyeball. I need to clean my garage. I can't find my cool yellow ones. Alright. I'll live with it. Don't stick your finger in the crack and then release the screwdriver. Alright. So yeah, what I was dealing with was these got clips. You know, there's a clip here, a clip here. And it's like there's so much glue and crap on there that you pry up on it and it just rips the fiberglass apart. So when we got to that last one, and once you have play on both sides of it, it was like all you can do is break it almost. Like I could have pried on it probably even harder with a pry bar, but then I probably dented the stuff out of the roof there. So there really wasn't a good way to do it that I could see. I don't know if that's something that the rednecks did when they did the body kit, or if that's how the cars are, but I'd really like to know before I took that off of my real car. So now you can see it looks like we got a little clip there that's screwed in, and a clip over on this side that's screwed in, and then you got two clips up top, so it looks like the window needs to come down, and it's also glued in with windshield urethane, is how the BGB says. So I'll go ahead and take those two screws off of there. And my wife is going to kick my butt if she sees my dirty coat. This coat's brand new. Alright, beautiful again. Over here you can see the bottom seal that wraps around it. And all I did was push down a little bit and it started coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and rip that out. And then I think that'll open up a little bit of play in the bottom. And then hopefully that'll be a spot that the wire can feed through. And maybe it'll give enough room for that window to come down so it doesn't fight the clips on top too much. Of course, it was only easy for the first like 2 inches. It is slowly working its way out. Maybe on the other side I'll have some better luck. Oh wow. So I'm already further than the other side. Oh, look at there. Alright, I might have to climb on in again. Ninja! Man, if I fall on my face, that's gonna suck. Alright. Hope you guys can see this. Oh, look at that. Oh, nice. Yeah, could it actually go all the way to the end? Oh, we got a good run. Oh, it's getting tough. Oh, what's there? Ooh, nasty. Safety glasses, kids. Oh, look at that. Seal is out. So now, alright, well that actually went pretty quick so far. I think we got all the easy stuff done. Now it's the hard part. Face plant. Alright, so last night we had fun pulling the trim panel off of this, and I was freaking out because I was like, there's no way that this would ever come off of here. Well, I feel kind of stupid tonight because I went back and looked at the big green book, and somehow I missed the page where it says to go ahead and take all these trim pieces off the inside around the window, and then there's like 1, 2, however many of these spots there are. Each one of those is attached to a nut underneath, and so you take the nut off and then there's a stud and it just pulls right out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just so you can see the proper way to do it and not destroy yours in the process. And then we'll go from there. I went ahead and stopped over at my favorite store, the Harbor Freight, and picked up windshield removal kit. So it's got the piano wire, some little handles, and then this big flat looking dagger thing. So pretty nice little murder weapon there. You didn't hear that from me. So So yeah, we'll go ahead and give that thing a try. I was kidding about the whole murder weapon thing. I'm not into that stuff. But yeah, we'll give that a try and see how that comes out. So it looks like the first step is to go ahead and just take this little plastic door trim off. Hey, look at that. They already broke all the clips. Cool. Second step, I believe, is to take this piece out. So it looks like it'll just pop right out as well. Oh, no, it's gone. There we go. Take that guy out. And then, where are we at here? I think this piece should come out somehow. This might be a little more complicated because it's got the seat belt coming through it. And then we'll work our way over to the other side, do the same thing, and then do those back pieces. I love throwing parts. It always is satisfying. Especially on this thing. So now I just gotta get these side pieces off. I'm still a little confused on those. Oh, just broke it. I know for someone that says he read the big green book, I don't look very smart on it. I'm more of a skimmer. There we go. Just gotta get it over where the T-top little probe thing goes. And then it looks like the seatbelt little bracket thing is in its way. Alright, we got her figured out. You just pop that little lid off of there, and there's a bolt there. So we'll take that bolt off, that piece will come out, and then it won't be blocking it, and the rest of the thing, I think, just pops right out. Alright, 14 millimeter, in case you were curious. Don't want to sit there and dig through stuff for an hour. Yeah, look at that, it all just comes right down. So yeah, it looks like it likes to hang up over here by where the T-top pushes into it. So make sure instead of pulling inward in the car, you pull forward and then try to get it to clear. There we go. There we go. So there we go, I got access to this side. Now let's go ahead and do the exact same thing over here. Where did all my light go? It's on this side. I'm actually ordering 2 more fluorescent shop light fixtures. So hopefully next video I'll have those in. So you guys don't have to watch me do stuff in the dark anymore. And then I'm also looking at better cameras that'll pick up the lower light stuff since I'm always in here at night. Oh, I'm totally going to blast my knee. Oh, nope, never did. Sweet. Oh, this needs to come on. Come on. What are we hung up on? Oh, there we go. That's out. Now just this guy. Oh, this one's actually got a screw in it. My other side was missing these 2 screws. See, I was just going to town. I would have snapped that if I wasn't too careful. So it's getting colder now. We're in the 40s, and so this plastic is a lot more brittle than a few months ago. There we go. Which I just managed to crack it a few minutes ago, you saw. There we go. Cool beans, all the plastic's out. Now where are those little screw heads that we're talking about up here? Should be one right here, so it must be under these big rubber seals. See right there, it's a big rubber seal. We'll find out together. And it's like glued up there. You rip it off and it just rips. I was thinking it was going to be like a rubber plug that would be replaceable or reusable. Ta-da, yep, there is a bolt down there though, or a nut. So yeah, along all those, there's one there, there's one here, and there's one there. I think it's actually this one that you care about. And then one there. So I'm just going to go ahead and take those out. So since mine already is torn up into a million pieces, I just want you to make a note, number one, that there are, let's see, one that's still attached here, 3, and then 2 over there, so 5 total. So just know that you need to get 5 of them off of here, because when you're looking in there, it's not exactly obvious where they all are. So make sure you got 5, and they're kind of towards the top, around the curve here. Boom, boom. Same on the other side, and then one dead center. If you get all of those off, then you should be good. I'm not going to take the 20 or 30 minutes it's going to take for me to fight with those, since they're all turning, and like the 2 outside ones are kind of hard to get to with a ratchet. So if I was, was actually working on a real car instead of this piece of junk, I would. But there's no need to sit here and worry about that right now. So I'm going to start, now that we've figured out the right way to do it, I'm going to start taking out this glass, and hope all goes well. I'm a little nervous for this part. So I just read the instructions on this tool, so I got this guy out, the frickin' dagger. And it basically says to work from the outside of the vehicle. It's got, I don't know if the camera will focus on that, but it's got a little tip there where you can put a piece of the piano wire. So it says just to bend a piece of that over that, and then just push it through from the outside of the window, or from the outside of the car to the inside, and that's what feeds your wire through. Okay, so I cut a piece of that wire off. It says it has 72 feet in there. And I was thinking it was a typo and it was reusable, and it was actually the 72 inches, but now I see this stuff is super thin, and it looks like it's going to break any minute. So I'm just going to bend a little bit of that over there, so now my dagger has it on there. Notice too, this isn't just round wire, it's actually like almost like a square cross section, so it gives you corners to make things sharp. So this stuff's kind of nasty stuff, really. Where'd my hole go? Looks like right there. Okay, we're through. One thing I'm seeing already is I put a ton overhanging because I was afraid it was going to fall off the tip of here. And now it's like I'm already through, but I can still see the end of the wire, so I'm going to keep going in. Alright, now I'm in pretty far. Should be good enough for me to at least grab that stuff with some pliers and grab it, and then put the little handles on it and go. Never mind, it was all the way through. There we go. Yeah, the directions on these T-handles are kind of unclear, so, or I'm just a dummy, but I think you stick it through the end here. It slides up through there, and then if you want for extra, you can actually bend it and stick it through here, and then just pull up on it, and you're there. That's how I'm going to use it. And that looks like it'll work. Alright, so do that twice, and then start sawing away like a lumberjack. Alright, they're both good. I'm wondering, since I got long arms and I can reach in the door, if I can just kind of, oh my gosh, this is going to take all night. Yeah, maybe not. I might go get my wife to be my lovely assistant tonight. some assistance. Alright, so right off the bat I get to this clip. It's like, huh, what do I do now? I can't go past the clip, so I guess we'll work the other direction. I wonder, I guess I should at least try to cut as much as I can. That's probably about it. So I had a big long string, and it was a pain in the butt because I'm just one person out here. So I cut it way down, and so this piece was able to get basically from here down to almost this crack, so right about here I think. So from there to there. Looks like you just got to keep changing your wire periodically, and then you'll get it done. But it's kind of slow going. My arms are already a little sore, I'm not going to lie. So I'm not quite sure what to do around these clips either. I got as far up in there as I could, but I'm sure there's still some glue holding it there. I want to make a note here. Once you get to this corner, or either of the corners, the tendency of what I kept wanting to do is pull out, but then the second I even think about doing that, I worry about just breaking this glass right out. So what I'm trying to do, I'm working really slow, but I'm moving sideways like that. And so then hopefully it keeps the pressure off of that glass. So something like this, instead of pulling straight out. And then just kind of work it back and forth and get through that corner. This whole part with this lip here might get kind of tricky. You know, you're going to want to be pulling sideways on it, so you're getting at the glue, not at the glass. But so I'll just kind of work on it and hope everything goes well. Okay, so I've gone around the whole thing with the wire, and the thing's pretty loose in there. I can wiggle it around and everything, but it seems like it's still getting held up probably around this clip on both sides. And so I'm afraid to just, rip on it, but I mean, you can see it's pretty loose right there. I think one thing I'm going to try and do is feed the other end of this wire up on the other side of these clips and just get around them, just to try and make sure there's no urethane there. Oh, sketchy. Where did my wire go? I see it. There it is. if you don't stab yourself about 50 times with the wire doing this, you're doing it wrong. There's some urethane left on there. Oops. There we go. Okay, that's the trick right there. That was quite a bit there. Still has a clip in it. So let's go ahead and do the other side first. There we go. Oh, there's one side. Alright. Just got this one. Now I'm not prying on the glass, I'm prying on the back of these clips here. Just make note of that. Don't pry on your glass. Anytime I had a screwdriver up here, I was just barely tweaking it just to see if I'd have any play. So I never was like hard prying on the glass. You will easily break it then. Yeah, that clipped out too. I think it should just come right out. Ta-da! We did it! I'm honestly pretty proud of myself for that. I didn't think I'd get it out without breaking it, to be honest with you. So that's pretty cool. And then before you go to reuse it, you'd have to spend a day probably cleaning it up and everything, but getting all this little glue off. But yeah, pretty cool. Alright, now do the two triangle shaped windows. And I've got all the glass I want out of this thing. So yay, go me. So I paused the video a lot whenever my wire would break, so just to get an idea, this is kind of what I swept up off the floor. So my wire probably broke 8 to 10 times doing just that window. So the only thing I could think of to try and make it last longer was to make sure you're not doing like really short, just back and forth motions. Make sure you use the whole length of that wire, because you're bending that wire back and forth. If you do it in one spot over and over, you're not going to get very far. You're only going to use that one little patch before it breaks. So other than that though, I mean, that was probably the most tedious job. Was every, 1.5 feet or 2 feet your wire would break, and oh crap, now I got to redo it. And a lot of times you'd have to use that dagger tool to put the wire back through over and over and over. So that got a little frustrating, but just so you have an idea, maybe I'm doing something wrong and you can tell me, but I think that's probably pretty normal with that wire being that thin and having to bend back and forth every motion. So there you go.